WMNation.com.
I teased you a little bit. Let's get into it because I am concerned that M Sizzle, my hip hop alter ego, who believes he's the greatest rapper alive, by the way, M Sizzle into Hizzle, yo. M Sizzle and the People's Mayor recently released a diss track taking on MC Hammer called Taste the Beef. Some of you might remember it's a big hit. Yes, thank you all for supporting Taste the Beef. It's currently number one in Billboard, in my imagination, in my dreams. In an alternate universe, it most likely is hugely successful. I truly believe that. I subscribe fully to the multiverse theories. And in the infinite number of multiverses, there are at least 2 or 3 multiverses where the song is a huge hit. It's very exciting time for M Sizzle and the People's Mayor, who he really, if you haven't heard it yet, maybe we'll play it later. I don't know. I don't want it to get played out. I don't want to oversaturate.
You had dope rhymes?
That's right. The People's Mayor's got some dope rhymes. Anyway, so the track calls out MC Hammer for being, well, an attempted murderer, technically, because he was involved in to use the legal terminology, according to MC Search of Third Base, MC Hammer was involved in a murder for hire conspiracy to have the members of Third Base murdered because at the end of the song, The Cactus, Pete Nice of Third Base says, the cactus turned Hammer's mother out. Referring to, because MC Hammer had that song, Turn This Mother Out. And Hammer apparently took offense because even though it's a play on words, he felt, as a proud man, he felt that his mother, her honor, her matriarchal, as MC Search would say, her good name had been besmirched, and you do not besmirch the good name, whatever I don't know what her name is. We need let's call her Florence. I don't know why. I think her name is Florence. I believe her name is Florence Hammer. You do not besmirch the good name of Florence Hammer. I realize Hammer isn't really Hammer's name, but I just think it's more fun to think of Florence Hammer. Florence MC Hammer is her name. She actually, if you think about it, it's possible because I'm sure she's very proud of her son. She could have at some point had her name legally changed to match his. That's what I would do, right? I mean, I don't have any children, but if I had a famous son or daughter and they had a stage name, I would change my last name to match theirs. That would be very exciting. Very strange, and I'm sure no one has ever done that in the history of the world. But somewhere, because again, there is an infinite number of multiverses, and somewhere in an alternate universe, someone has done that very thing. And somewhere in an alternate universe, I truly believe this. MC Hammer's mother's name is Florence MC Hammer. I'm convinced. But anyway, so Hammer then allegedly put a hit out for $50,000 on the members of Third Base, etc. So Glenn R.J. Willett, the People's Mayor, was actually live here in the studio. It wasn't virtual Glenn that day. It was actually Glenn R.J. Willett.
So I guess once more time, you are not going to get to see my in full.
Well, we're not talking about that right now, virtual Glenn, please. And it is the holidays. Let's not even go there. That's quite frankly, that's disgusting. Okay, it's let's focus on more important things like is the story true about MC Hammer? Okay, so Glenn was here in the studio with me, and by the way, the clip is on YouTube. I think it's what is it titled? Glenn R.J. Willett has beef with MC Hammer or something. So you can find it. Don't listen to it right now, though, because, you can go back and listen to it later. But we need to focus on the task at hand. Okay, so I know me lecturing you about focusing on the task at hand. So apparently Glenn had some very strong feelings about MC Hammer. And this is true. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, I started talking about the story about MC Hammer apparently is a terrible person. And then MC Hammer called the show, by the way, and that's also on YouTube. Wink, wink. Someone claiming to be, I don't want to get myself in trouble. Someone claiming to be MC Hammer called the show and was upset with me. And then Hammer and me were beefing. We had beef. But we smoothed it. We squashed the beef. Or at least at the time we did. But so then
I can take the beef.
Yeah, virtual Glenn doesn't mind the beef at all. But I don't want no beef. I don't want to be beefing. All right? So then so I'm explaining to Glenn. Basically, I'm telling Glenn the MC Search story. Although, there's another thing you can find on YouTube, by the way. Just, if you go on YouTube, just type in MC Search, MC Hammer. You'll find it right away. It's about 20 minutes long, and it's a fantastic story. And even if none of it's true, Search knows how to tell a story. For 20 minutes, you'll just be awestruck. You'll just you'll feel like you're sitting around a campfire listening to MC Search tell this story. I mean, at one point during the story, MC Search actually pulls out a flashlight and holds it up to his face and says something scary. So you really get that campfire effect. I'm kidding about that part. That would actually be very strange. Although that would still be worth watching, right? But so I tell Glenn the story, and then Glenn starts saying all these terrible things about MC Hammer. Now, what was particularly interesting about that moment, and I have not addressed this, but Glenn started saying things about MC Hammer and his music that, I have to be honest with you, I'm pretty sure Glenn had Hammer confused with someone else, because the things that Glenn was saying kind of didn't make sense, because he started talking about how MC Hammer's music is, the lyrics are full of hate and violence and misogyny and all this stuff. And I'm thinking at the time, hello to, I'm still intimidated by attempting to pronounce your name, but I keep on trying. Abdulbagi Hamad in the Facebook live chat. I'm listening to Glenn say this and I'm thinking, okay, Glenn has got Hammer confused with someone else, because MC Hammer, you can't touch this and all that. It's very clean. I don't think Hammer even swears at all in any of his raps. There's certainly no violent imagery, or, it's all about how he can dance and all this, and you can't touch this. And, this is the guy who did that song, Pray, right? You've got to pray just to make it today. That's why we pray. I ended up playing that on the show. So I realized that Glenn was confused. I know. You wouldn't expect that. When is the people's mayor ever confused about something? But in this particular instance, I believe that he was a little confused. But so I did the only responsible thing I could do in that moment. As a professional broadcaster, I decided to ignore that he obviously had the wrong person and said, sounds like you and Hammer got some beef. Y'all is beefing. You got beef with Hammer. And I just stoked the fire. And of course that led to the diss track, Taste the Beef. And then a follow-up diss track, which had nothing to do with MC Hammer. A lot of beefing going on.
I can take the beef.
Glenn can take the beef. So he's fine with it. But here's the thing. At the end of all of this, is it possible that MC Hammer is not really the terrible human being? Hey, I got to say, though, in our defense, we may have jumped to conclusions. Perhaps we have been led astray by MC Search. But I have to say this. There are other people who back up MC Search's version of events. And the reputation of MC Hammer being can we use the term gangbanger? So here's what I found today. So again, this is from hiphopdx.com. Radio icon Greg Mack and Pete Nice refute MC Search's version of MC Hammer K-Day story. Now, K-Day, K-Day-E-Y, is a radio station on the West Coast. I don't know if it's still there. KDAY. It was the apparently the first all hip-hop radio station in the United States at the time. And part of MC Search's story is that Third Base goes on K-Day, Greg Mack's show, to promote their big album release party that was happening in Los Angeles, where they were ambushed on the phone by a call from MC Hammer, calling them and threatening them. And then there were the Crips were, because that's who MC Hammer allegedly hired or asked to kill Third Base. The Crips were circling the building and all this kind of stuff. So here is Pete Nice, who is or was MC Search's partner in Third Base, says that didn't exactly happen the way it did. But Pete Nice, though, might have an ulterior motive for saying that. But so here's it's very short, and then we'll move on to some other stuff, I promise you. But I find this fascinating. I'm always interested in, when hip-hop artists are beefing. And part of it, look, all cards on the table. I'm going to be totally honest with you. A big part of that is nothing more than I enjoy saying beefing. I think it's fun. Sometimes I'll say it just for fun, for really no other reason at all. I'll say it with a deep voice because that's really fun. Beefing. Like, to say it like that, I mean, I don't know what it's like, gives me a tingle inside. It's just enjoyable. Beefing. You know what I mean? You try it. I mean, just try it. You don't have to try right now. You're listening to the show. But later, when you're by yourself, just alone in a quiet room, maybe while you're meditating or doing yoga or something, you'd be like that'd be fun, right? I think that'd be an appropriate moment. Like you're in a yoga pose, right? And maybe you're meditating and you're going, beefing, Just try it and see how that goes for you. I predict great results. Okay, so it says here, MC Search, formerly one half of the group Third Base, recently stopped by Vlad TV's studio to chat about a plethora of topics, including helping Nas get his deal. Yes, MC Search helped Nas, get his record deal. One story in particular, though, raised a few eyebrows, not so much for its intricacy, but more so for its historical inaccuracy. The story of MC Hammer putting a $50,000 hit out on Third Base during their Los Angeles Cactus album promo run is one that Search has told on many occasions, and also one that Hammer has denied. So the fact Search recounted it with Soulja Boy-esque detail wasn't too surprising. Soulja Boy is a rapper, for those who don't know. Apparently he retells stories in tremendous detail. I didn't know this. But at this time, when he more vividly detailed a visit to Greg Mack's morning show on K-Day, where, when blinded into a conversation with Hammer, Pete Nice essentially cowered in fear, leaving Search to man up and call the rapper a B. Now, what that refers to is, when they're on Greg Mack's show, MC Hammer calls into the show. So MC Hammer, by the way, apparently has a history of calling into live radio shows. So that probably really was him that called. I don't think that was somebody messing around. I think I was talking to the real MC Hammer, yo. Anyway, so Hammer calls in to address the line that he found so offensive when Pete Nice said the Cactus turned MC Hammer's mother out. Which again was a play on words. And basically, just saying that Third Base felt that their album, The Cactus, was better than MC Hammer's album, Turn This Mother Out. So that's what that means. The Cactus turned MC Hammer's mother out. Wasn't really dissing the lovely Florence MC Hammer. So, by the way, I hear that her friends call her Flo Hammer, which is nice. I like to think that she'd allow me to call her that if I knew her, which I don't. I've never met the woman. But, and if I did, I wouldn't talk about it on the air because I don't want Mr. MC Hammer to become angry with me and threaten my life, if that ever even actually happened. So, anyway. But it was Pete Nice's line. So MC Hammer calls in to complain about it, according to MC Search, and MC Search is sitting there like he looks at Pete Nice like, yo, it's your line, dude. Say something. And then Pete Nice doesn't say anything. He just didn't want to deal with MC Hammer, according to MC Search. So then that prompted Search to take over and begin arguing with MC Hammer while Pete Nice just sat there quietly. Okay, so getting back to this. This alleged encounter naturally prompted on-air threats from goons, but at least one person who was in the room at the time publicly called shenanigans. Total Fantasy, his third base partner, Prime Minister Pete Nice, tells Hip Hop DX of the K-Day visit, quote, Search has told numerous versions of this whole story. In one, he says he was gonna, or even did, smack Greg, which is just bonkers. When he says I said nothing, the reality is we both went at it with Hammer for at least a half hour. See, in the MC Search version of events, they end up, the interaction with Hammer is very brief, immediately followed by a call from one of the Crips saying, you know, we're outside and we're going to kill these folks. Well, they probably didn't say kill these folks. I don't know if gang members say it. Do they use words like folks? I don't know. I bet they use words like beefin'. I bet they say beefin'. I bet they say it like that. I hope they do. I hope they do it while they do their yoga. Former K-Day program director and the man responsible for steering the station to become the country's first all-rap radio station, Greg Mack, recounted the whole situation to Hip Hop DX and explained how the Hammer call went down. So this is what Greg Mack, the host of the show, said, quote, whenever there was a beef that I considered a real beef, I would get the people on the air with me and we would try to squash it. Most of the times we were very successful. On this particular instance, I knew that something was going on with Hammer and Search. I hadn't talked to either one of them directly, but I talked to Hammer right before Search got there, and I said, I'm going to put you on the air with me, unquote. Greg Mack recalls that many of the artists of the day saw him as a father figure, which put him in a position to create peace in many cases. Quote, I could tell there was a tension. I could tell there was a little tension, but I also felt by the end of the on-air phone call that it was all good. I didn't think it was squashed, but I was under the impression that they were going to talk again, but it was all good, unquote. Pete Nice seems in line with this version of the story, adding that although they were a little annoyed by the surprise live call, the show ended normally, not with on-air gang threats and being snatched and rushed out of the studio, quote, after the show, Search even invited Greg to our release party, unquote. Now, as a part of this, though, there's just a little bit more to this, but there's a part of this that actually kind of backs up what Search says, though, and not what Pete Nice says. Oh, Abdelbagi Hamad, even though I'm probably butchering his name, says, great show, my friend. I love this radio station. Well, thank you, good sir. Thank you so much. And let's be honest. I mean, I know what the greatest thing about it is. It's Virtual Glenn.
It's hard to crack my nookie.
That's right, Virtual Glenn, the people's mayor. So it says here, according to Mac, he did not know anything happened until a few months later at a Jack the Rapper convention when he was approached by Search's DJ, who he claims grabbed him by the shirt and said, you almost got us killed. This has been one point that Mac has been most upset about, the inference that he is or was somehow responsible for the situation. So in other words, because MC Search, although in the interview on Vlad TV, MC Search never explicitly says that Greg Mack was, trying to get third base killed, right? But if MC Search made the whole thing up, as Pete Nice seems to be saying, why, and what Greg Mack seems to think, why would And it doesn't mention his name in this. What was the name of their DJ? It was like DJ Richie Rich or something? Third base's DJ? Why would third base's DJ grab Greg Mack by the shirt at the event and say, "You almost got us killed," if none of this was real, if this was all just MC Search making it up or embellishing things? Why would that confrontation happen? Why would somebody say that to Greg Mack? You know what I mean? Okay, so then Greg Mack says, quote, "I'd be more than willing to talk to Search and tell him what I knew, which is not much, you know, but I didn't have any part in what happened, and so it hurt me that his DJ could think that I was participating. I don't know what happened in that situation, but you would be hard-pressed to make me believe Hammer had anything to do with it. Matter of fact, I would take him out of the conversation," unquote. Though some elements of his story did happen, it seems clear that Search embellished his visit to K-Day, which should cause fans to take further stories with a grain of salt. So the author of the article is, believing that MC Search kind of embellished. It says here, Stretch Armstrong is also in possession. This is interesting. I want to hear this. I hope this ends up on YouTube. Stretch Armstrong is also in possession of the original audio, a digitized copy of a taping of the program given to Pete Nice by Greg Mack after the program. As the interview with Mack wrapped, he once reiterated his desire to clear the air with Search and said he has nothing but respect for both artists. Quote, "Hammer helped me buy my first radio station. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't have been able to do it. And so obviously I have nothing but love for him. I love them both," unquote. And then somebody did tweet out the picture of the audio cassette. There's an audio cassette this is such a tease. I want to hear it now, but it's not anywhere. It's not online. But somebody tweeted out, I guess Stretch Armstrong tweeted this. It's a picture of the audio cassette and written on the label. Of course, somebody could have just done this, right? This may not be authentic. Someone could have just done this. But it's a Sony audio cassette, and the label on it says, "Third Base Interview with Greg Mack, K-Day, and MC Hammer, 1/23/90. So January 23rd, 1990, when all this happened. I'm going to drop the link to that article into the Facebook live chat. So if you are listening at your computer or mobile device and you want to take a gander at that, you can.
IPMNation.com.